All right, Bam. I want to start here. You've been very vocal about you want to be recognized for your defense. You've been vocal in the past that you want to win Defensive Player of the Year. You want to make all defense first team. Why is that so important to you? Let me just start there. Why is that so important to
I mean, I came into the league as a defender, uh, with the ability to score. But that's how I got on the court. That's how my name really got out there because it was the first, my rookie year when we was playing Golden State, and obviously I have the one-on-one battle with Stephen Curry on the wing, and it kind of that projected me some light where people were like, "Man, maybe he can really defend. Like he can defend." And that's how I got on the court. So my mindset has always been, why not try to go for it? Like, why not put your name? Why not put your name in the hat and say I can be Defensive Player of the Year? Uh, and it's one of those things I feel like I should have got before. Um, but here and there, it is what it is at this point.
I want to ask about that play that you referenced with Stephen Curry. I remember it vividly. You're guarding him on the right wing, and he's throwing all his dribble moves at you and trying to shake you loose. Did you know going into the league, I can guard one on one on the perimeter? Or is that something you learned over the course of your first few years in the NBA? Wait a second, I can keep up with, guards and wings and smaller players.
Uh, I feel like that's my gift. Um, and not a lot of people can have that type of gift, especially at this size. Uh, so for me, that was my gift, and everybody seen that when I got to the league. It wasn't just uh, you can't just teach something like that. Having that anticipation of guarding guys and anticipating their moves and being able to stay in front of dudes, especially quick guards. Uh, it's something that just is part of my DNA.
I want to ask about that because we hear all the time when the guy works on his game in the summer, it's always these are the shots I took. These are the dribble moves I worked on. It's hard to describe to people how you work on your defense, how you improve your defensive game. How have you worked on your defense over the years to get to the point where you are now?
I play one on one a lot, especially in the off season. That's one of the things that you know both parties can get better at. Obviously, you can work on your one on one game and your dribble moves and how you shoot, but on the other end, like you got to guard somebody. So shout out to one of my closest friends, Brandon Childress. He went to Wake Forest and he works out with me a lot in the summers, and we play one on one a lot. And he's one of those quick, shifty guards that uh, can get his shot off against anybody, obviously, because I'm guarding him. But being able to anticipate every move, and that's how I work on it in the summers.
You mentioned the one-on-one defense. I think what really makes you special as a defender, what makes you stand out, especially compared to other centers, whether it's Embiid, whether it's Wemby, whether it's Giannis, these big guys. What you do when you defend in isolation. I asked for some stats. Since you became a starter, of all players who've defended at least 500 isolations, nobody defends them better than you. Nobody's defending them better than Bam Adebayo. What is your what is your secret? What's going through your mind when you're lined up one on one against Giannis, against Embiid? The other night it was Kevin Durant. You forced Kevin Durant the same night he passed Michael Jordan. You force him into a late game miss. What's going through your mind when you're on an island with players like that?
I mean, all those are great players. So obviously, you see their tendencies. You see what their go to moves is, and you just try to time that jump or time that move. And that's really what it is about defense. It's really about timing. Because we've seen like somebody's timing off, you will be on a poster. You anticipate the wrong move, you will be standing somewhere else while they're shooting the layup. So it's really about timing.
Speaking of timing, one of my personal favorite plays in the NBA. You talk about putting someone on a poster. You did it to Jason Tatum, but the reverse way in the bubble. I think that's probably in many ways the most remarkable play of your career, considering the stakes, considering the moment, what it meant. I know you've joked before. You send Jason Tatum a picture of that play often. What do you remember about that moment? And can you kind of take us through it? How do you kind of handle a situation like that, meeting a player like him at the rim in that moment?
It's timing because I could have for sure been on the other end of the highlight. Um, but that moment happened so fast, but also like it was in slow motion at the same time. I don't really know how to explain that. Uh, because it's game one. I think it's game one in the bubble in the playoffs. And it's literally if he makes it, game over. If he misses it, it's game over. We win the game. Uh, so I just remember going up uh, and making a play, and I remember it sounded because it's so quiet in there because it's the bubble, but it sounded like the basketball pop. Uh, and I remember like, damn, like what just happened? And I remember my hands tingling. But I also, when I looked at my teammates, because when it happened, I was just so worried about getting the ball that I didn't realize what happened. So like by the time I blocked it, I'm looking to grab the ball. And then I just see my teammates on the sideline going crazy. And I was like, dang, I just really blocked that at the rim. Um, and obviously people have the picture of how I blocked it, which was a pretty cool picture.
Something that I think really makes you unique, when we're talking about why someone like you should be considered for Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's because of the variety of things you do on the basketball court, right? It's whether it's switching out onto smaller players, whether it's playing in zone because other teams are realizing they can switch you off the ball and hide you in the corner, or whether it's playing drop to kind of help your guards out. I was wondering if you could tell us a little about over the years, the conversations you've had with Erik Spoelstra. What's it like when he throws another challenge on your plate? What's it like when he's like, "Hey, Bam, last game we had you switch every pick and roll. Now we're gonna have you in the zone. Now we're gonna have you play drop." What are those conversations with him like as he kind of puts a lot on your plate defensively?
At this point now, it's kind of I just ask him what we're doing. Like, are we switching? Are we zoning? What are we doing? And he gives a coverage, or he'll be like, throughout the game, you can mix it up. So at this point in my career, it's not really a conversation anymore. In the beginning, it was me being obsessed with getting it right every time. And if it was switching, I had to make sure I got every switch right. I didn't make a mistake on the switches. And if it was zones, I tried to be the best zone big defender in the league. Um, and that was some of it coming from my obsession of I wanted to play and I wanted to be able to stay on the court. And in order for me to stay on the court, which was getting my defensive schemes right. So conversations aren't really long anymore. He talks about we have little conversations about how he wants me to be on defense, and talking, and I've developed into an anchor at this point, and I think that's more so due to the versatility of being able to play any coverage, um, and I think that's what makes me so unique.
You speak about being an anchor for this team. The stats kind of back that up entirely. This is in no way meant to disrespect your teammates, but it's very clear the Heat this year, when you're not on the floor, they struggle at times. And you have one of the best on-off differentials in the entire league. This team is so much better when you play. How much pressure do you put on yourself to be that anchor for this team defensively night after night?
Uh, a lot because I want to win. I think we have a top five defense right now. And the goal is obviously to keep climbing to where it's top four, top three, and then you try to crack the two and the one spot. Um, so for me, it's always giving me a challenge because you're trying to keep building, and you're trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. And with that, sometimes it's not about your ability. Sometimes it's about your voice. Talking guys into the right spot.
as you've become now one of the elder statesmen on this team, how much leadership have you taken, ownership of the defensive end of the floor, I should say, in terms of getting your guys in the right position, in terms of making sure, hey, this is what we're doing with our screen coverages tonight. This is where you need to be in the zone. How much have you taken upon that yourself to be like getting guys in the right place?
A lot. Um, but that comes from banking equity with them in the offseason. I feel like the only way you can really get a true top five defense or offense is communication. And some of that is just you got to be able to have uncomfortable conversations in the moments of truth. And through my obviously through my tenure of being with the Heat, I've had guys like UD and D Wade show me the way of, this is how you handle it. This is how you can get to the point where you can have those tough conversations and it's not personal. And it's become from banking equity with my teammates. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, we got to be in the gym all the time. Sometimes it could just be going out to eat, just getting to know one another to where you understand their goals and they understand yours. And that's what it boils down to. When you understand and y'all can align and y'all can agree on what y'all want out of this season or out of the game that's about to happen, it's going to be uncomfortable conversations at that point, but it's all out of love and respect of the game. And we want to get this win and we want to keep achieving or trying to be successful.
A big reason why I wanted to do this story or wanted to speak with you is because for people who've been following your career from the start, I think they know how special a defender you are. I think, especially Heat fans who follow the team very closely know that you get asked to do a different thing on offense every year. And it feels like every year it's like, actually, we need Bam to do this. And obviously, it culminated in that 83-point game this year, which has brought a lot of attention on you. And I mean this from a place of respect. There's just a certain irony to it that I'm sure you appreciate on some level, knowing that you've always been a defense first guy. You mentioned that's how you got on the floor. I'm just gonna straight up ask you, I'm curious, would you trade the 83 points for a defensive player of the year trophy?
Ooh. Uh, hmm. Man, that's tough. Um, I don't know if I could at this point. Because that is just that was a special brand of basketball to me. And obviously it looks different for everybody else, but 83 points in the game is like it shifted everybody's mindset to how they look at me play now. Like, oh, he defends, but also like he's really a two-way guy. And to me, that 83, when you see that, it sounds ridiculous. Um, and it shocked people. So I don't know. That's a great question. I actually don't know.
Oh well, we'll think about it. We can decide another time. You could choose both. Technically, I guess you could choose both.
Oh, I'm choosing both then. Yeah, for sure. What?
I'm curious. You mentioned it's kind of changed the way people think about you. Have you noticed that on the court since you had that game? Do you feel like the perception around the league on the court has changed at all?
Yes, because it people obviously going into stats and how I play. People notice like I didn't shoot that many threes, so they're like, "Man, I know you shoot that many threes." So now, like when I step on the court, now it's like, "Yeah, you have to guard me now." Because I can make seven in a game, which sounds insane. Like I said, coming from somebody who wasn't, identified as a scorer, I can make seven threes in a game. I can get to the foul line. The plays run through me. Um, so yeah, I think it's a different level of respect for my offensive game for sure. Because, like I said, some of the greatest players in our league has come through here and haven't been able to do that. So to be able to score 83 points in a game is a big deal. But yeah, I think it's changed how people view my offensive game.
Shifting back to defense for a second, I'm curious, when did you start realizing that other players around the league knew you were a good defender? When did you maybe start realizing, oh, it's kind of on the scouting report that you don't want to switch against Bam Adebayo? When did you start noticing uh, that people were kind of playing you differently?
Uh, when the coaches started putting me in the strong side corner and not bringing me into the action. And I don't even know how you can chart that or you can like put that into the stat, but they'll put me in a strong side corner and be like, nah, leave him there. Or you'll see some guys that'll get a pick and a roll and a pick and roll and it'll switch and they'll swing it. Um, so yeah, I don't know how many times you can chart that. Uh, if that's even something you can chart, but that's how I knew when you get the level of respect from your peers when it's like, all right, let's go at somebody else.
What does it mean to you to have that respect from people on the floor? I know whether it's awards, voting, sometimes that stuff can go either way. It depends on a lot of factors, but what does it mean to you have that respect on the floor?
It's just respect for my peers at the end of the day. The voters are gonna vote for what they vote for at the end of the day. We know this. But to have that respect from your peers is a different level of respect that a lot of people will never understand because they've either never been in that situation or they've never played basketball. So to have that respect of your peers where it's like, nah, we just gonna put him in the corner. Like we're just gonna leave him over there. It's a great respect. And I cherish that type of respect from my peers.
Just a couple more quick ones here, man. But I want to ask you about two players specifically because I thought this was a really interesting stat that I think it's over the last 5 years. Basically, no two players have you guarded more in isolation than Giannis and Joel Embiid. And when you guard those guys in isolation, they score way less compared to their average against you specifically. And those are both former MVPs. I mean, Embiid is at a season where he's averaging more points per game than minutes. You've had Giannis in multiple playoff series. What is it? If you could take me through each guy individually for a second, you have to give away all the secrets here, but what's the mindset and what are you doing against those guys specifically to try to have a shot? Even the great scorers are going to get their buckets on you, but what are you doing to make it difficult for
Yeah, I mean, uh, first things first is like they're great players, so like they bring the best out of you. That's a motivation game. Um, when you guard Joel Embiid or Giannis and uh in those type of one-on-one situations, that's what's supposed to happen. When you play against great players, like your greatness is supposed to show as well. Uh and that's the competition. That's the competitive spirit that you love to be a part of because it can go either way. Like we've all seen like Joe score 70. Giannis has 60. Uh, like you've seen those type of games where if you don't guard them a certain way, they can destroy your defense. Um, and for me, like I said, it's all timing. And then sometimes it's easier to not let them catch the ball. uh, that's a little tip for whoever wants to defend at some point. Like you don't have to let him catch the ball. Guys are gonna make shots in the league. We got some talented guys where they're gonna make shots. They're gonna get the ball in their hand. Your job is to make every shot difficult.
And then finally, I just want to ask about I don't know that you have a bigger advocate in the league, obviously, than your head coach, Erik Spoelstra. I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a press conference after a game. Someone asks a question about you, and he's like, "How dare you look at the box score?" He's like, "How dare you look at the box score?" When you talk about Bam, he's been your champion. He once told me he thinks you could be the most well-rounded player in the NBA. This was years ago, and I'm just curious, what does it mean to have his support? And how much do you guys lean on each other as kind of the two people that have been with this organization for so long and are trying to bring it back to that championship height?
Uh Me and Spo have had some great days, some good days, and some very ugly days. Uh But I say that all to say, like, when you're in the heat of the moment and you're in the battle with somebody, battle after battle after battle, you start to understand who you can be in that foxhole with. You start to understand who's in your corner to where like your back's against the wall. And that's Spo. Because he doesn't he looks at the game from a different point of view. Obviously, he's my coach, and I will hope my coach will be on my side. But when you watch the game, you can see how some people affect the game without it even showing up in the stat sheet. And that's a lot of what I do most of the time. It might not be Bam had 4 blocks and 4 steals. But if you watch the game, you'll be like, damn, like he's making his life a living hell. Like, like he's making sure he's not catching the ball. Like, he's in his right spot at the same time. He's over shrinking for his teammates. People don't really talk about the communication about defense and being able to anchor people, put people in their spots. Like that takes a lot of energy. And a lot of it might even not show up in the stat sheet. So I feel like that's why he makes those type of comments when it's like, how dare you only look at the stat sheet when it comes to Bam? Because if you watch the game, I affect the game without it showing up in the stat sheet a lot of times.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, and analysis from the NBA on NBC.